guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to welcome you to the Ministerial Roundtable on Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, at its core, is a manifestation of human creativity, aspiration, and resilience. Entrepreneurs envision what is not yet seen and transform ideas into impactful realities. Their spirit embodies the very tenets we need for sustainable development: innovation, agility, and perseverance. Now, you know that one of the things that were so disappointing when we were in the era of the low interest rates and the quantitative easing is that what we financed with that liquidity that was in the world was what already existed, not what we wanted to exist. And that's why it's so important to talk about this today, because we financed the old, but we didn't finance the future. And that cannot happen again. And so in the great challenges that are pressing our planet, from climate change and biodiversity loss to deepening inequalities and fractured societies, for every problem that we face, there is an entrepreneurial and human solution waiting to be discovered. Whether it is renewable energy ventures tackling the climate crisis, or tech startups bridging the digital divide, or social enterprises empowering marginalized communities and women, entrepreneurs can create value and, yes, also profit from closing gaps and solving problems. Yet the path of entrepreneurship is not without obstacles. As the world becomes more uncertain, we need to ensure that our entrepreneurial ecosystems are robust, inclusive, and adaptable. This means access to finance for those with brilliant ideas but limited means. It means investing in education and skills so our youth are equipped for the future. It means creating regulatory environments where startups can thrive without unnecessary burdens. It means providing role models to women and disenfranchised communities so they too see and do not shy away from their own potential. One thing that I always say is that the most well-distributed thing in the world is talent. What is not well-distributed is opportunities. So micro, small, and medium-sized businesses account for 90% of business worldwide, 60 to 70% of employment, and 50% of all GDP. But these small businesses also tend to be the most affected during the crisis, such as the recent pandemic or the cost of living crisis we are experiencing today. We need to help strengthen the ability of small businesses to withstand hard times. And that means dealing with the issue of, my dear friend from ILO, informality. Because we want them to create decent jobs, not any jobs, which is prevalent and almost total in some countries. Lastly, we need to ensure that global supply chains provide fair opportunities for small firms, benefit workers, and respect the environment. One of the ways to do this is to effectively connect foreign investment and domestic entrepreneurs and MSMEs. Most of the investment policies of the past and much of the infrastructure built to accommodate foreign investors, such as industrial zones, have been focused on attracting large-scale industrial investors that would create jobs and generate exports. And so we have here UNIDO with us. I have to also pause to really thank my colleagues from the UN system for having been so supportive to all our efforts in this investment forum. So, with the stagnant trend in international investment in manufacturing, especially in manufacturing, that we have observed in our World Investment Report over the past decade, the focus of policymakers is increasingly turning to strengthening smaller and local firms. This change of focus is extremely welcome. So, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, here in Abu Dhabi and across the UAE, we have seen a blossoming of entrepreneurship, rooted in a visionary leadership that understands its significance. The initiatives and investments made here serve as a model for how nations can harness the entrepreneurial spirit for sustainable progress. In a session yesterday of the World Investment Forum, UNCTAD, in collaboration with the African Economic Zones Organization, launched a guide on promoting MSMEs and entrepreneurship in and around special economic zones in Africa, as a policy instrument to help make investment and entrepreneurship policies connect as two sides of the same coin. This latest initiative is part of a vast array of policy tools which UNCTAD has made available to countries, some of whom are represented in this roundtable today. Our toolkit includes UNCTAD's entrepreneurship policy framework, our policy guide on entrepreneurship for migrants and refugees, something that we have developed with IOM, and that dear Francisco, the Minister of Costa Rica, I saw this working in Costa Rica, in Emprotec, and it really was amazing with some of the migrants that were coming from the south to the north and stayed with us in Costa Rica. Our policy guide also on youth entrepreneurship that we have co-developed with our very good friends of the Commonwealth. And here we have the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland. So, Patricia, thank you so much for being here. Our Women in Business Award that we are giving today. So I hope you will be with us. Our Emprotec program for entrepreneurship skill promotion that is really very successful. And our projects on business and investment facilitation platform. This World Investment Forum is a great opportunity to understand what we can do together, and also what UNCTAD can do for you on this important collective mission. We are extremely eager to rise to the challenge and do more. So during this roundtable, I am keen to hear your views and your experience with national policies and initiatives to promote entrepreneurship and MSMEs. In closing, as we share, discuss, and deliberate today, let's keep in mind that millions of entrepreneurs out there are waiting for the right moment, the right support, and the right opportunity to make their mark. Let's ensure that we provide them with the tools they need, the environment they thrive in, and the support they deserve. Thank you, and I really look forward for this fruitful discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Rebecca Greenspan, Secretary General of UNCTAD, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to serve as your chair for this meeting and to call to order the Enterprise Ministerial Roundtable of the 8th World Investment Forum. My name is Musi Khafela. I'm the Minister of Trade and Industry of the Republic of Botswana. As the Secretary General of UNCTAD has aptly laid before us, the issue of enterprise and entrepreneurship has assumed vital importance if we are to tackle the multiple crises we are facing. This Ministerial Roundtable is tasked with helping us in this endeavor by allowing us to share our experiences, learn from the best practices, gain insights from regional and international organizations, and chart a way forward how we can best create a condition or conditions for entrepreneurs to thrive and prosper and to contribute to attaining the SDGs. We will proceed with your interventions in alphabetical order by country. Please do limit your interventions to 5 minutes maximum. This time limit will allow all of us to have a say and put our positions forward. Hence, if your remarks should exceed this time limit, I'll remind you, and if necessary, proceed with the next speaker, since it is my duty to ensure that all of us here present are given an opportunity to speak at this important event. If you need to abbreviate your statement, the full version can be made available to the website of this event by the Secretariat. Please note that we will have interpretation in the 6 official languages of the United Nations. Before closing the meeting, I will, with the help of the Secretariat, summarize our proceedings. My summary will constitute the outcome of our deliberations. A written version will be shared with you after the meeting for your comments, which will be duly reflected in the document before a final version is being produced. Let us now start with the proceedings. I now have the honor to give the floor first to His Excellency, Mr. Paul Tasong Njukang, Minister Delegate in charge of Planning, Ministry of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development, the Republic of Congo. Cameroon. The Republic of Cameroon, I beg your pardon. I give the floor to you, Your Excellency. You have the floor. Thank you.
I thank you, Chair, for the invitation to speak. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, Excellency Secretary General of UNCTAD, ladies and gentlemen, I already presented my civilities during a prior ministerial roundtable this morning. I would like to stand on that and move straight to my statement. Cameroon's private sector plays a key role in driving the national economy, as it accounts for about 85% of GDP of domestic demand in terms of investments and consumption. For the decade 2020-2030, the government is looking up to the national and international private sector to sit even more comfortably on the driver's seat of economic growth. A key pillar of our development strategy this decade is the structural transformation of the national economy, and one of the key thrusts is to give more impetus to this pivotal role of the private sector. 3 policy orientations are expected from government to make this happen. First, technological development. Second, incentives to business development. And third, the protection of the national economic space. For purposes of relevance of this conversation, I have chosen to focus attention on enterprise development, but will particularly attempt to articulate my statement around some of the themes the organizers have so well formulated for this roundtable. Dear colleagues, Cameroon believes in a liberal economy and intends to strengthen the overall framework for business development so that it can flourish more and generate the levels of growth that we project at double digits over the 2020-2030 decade. To this effect, a deposit and consignment fund has gone operational this year with a window to support the equity of companies with high economic and financial profitability. Secondly, in partnership with local banks, the government has set up a guarantee fund to facilitate access to finance by national private investors. We are also setting up special economic zones to allow companies to evolve in ecosystems which correspond to their specificities. Last June, a new framework law on public-private partnerships was passed to enable foreign and national investors to partner with the public sector in developing the much-needed infrastructure needed to grow the economy. The public sector infrastructure and other needs are huge, and less debt-generating mechanisms through PPPs are a viable alternative. All of this comes to complete the fiscal incentive mechanisms that have been in place since 2013 and which is currently under review. With regards to encouraging the private sector to integrate sustainable development and issues of inclusion linked to the Sustainable Development Goals, I must say that we are increasingly developing effective tools, obviously drawing inspiration from successes and failures elsewhere. Cameroon has an environmental policy which obliges economic agents to respect certain basic rules in the development of their projects. Companies, like the state itself, are subject to preliminary environmental and social certification of projects. In relation to the development of a green economy, our simulations have shown us that the reckless achievement of our growth objectives could lead to the destruction of more than 2 million hectares of forest cover by 2030. So we are gradually putting in place incentive mechanisms for intensive agriculture so as to change farming habits. We are embarked on an agro-ecological transition for our two main historical tradable commodities, which are cocoa and coffee. Results, if positive, will be extended to all other flagship crops. We hope to successfully combine this with our energy transition. We dispose of a huge hydroelectricity potential of more than 10 gigawatts, of which more than 80% is still untapped. Combined with our solar and wind potential, we are sure to drive our economy with renewable energy by 2050. More importantly, this green energy potential can lead us to the next level of green energy to complete our transition. We are currently working with an Australian company to use part of our hydro energy resources to produce green hydrogen, mainly for export. We can't underestimate the offtake of green hydrogen, which is green ammonia. And who says ammonia says fertilizer, and who says fertilizer says intensive agriculture. Coming to initiatives on social enterprise and impact investment, as well as entrepreneurship for youths, women, and vulnerable groups, a lot is on the ground in Cameroon. Cameroon's social inclusion policies consider youth and women as vulnerable. From the youth perspective, about 40% of Cameroon's population is between 15 and 30 years of age. This could constitute a huge potential for the economy, but at the same time, it could constitute a huge threat to social peace and development. The employment situation is characterized by underemployment, which stands at about 70%. This is explained by the proliferation of the informal sector. Government's response to this challenge is to promote self-employment. To this effect, several initiatives are afoot. The most pronounced are the Youth Agro-Pastoral Entrepreneurship Program and a program we call Transfagri. Both are structured around the biggest potential Cameroon has. They both seek to promote agro-pastoral transformation amongst micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, thus a step close to large-scale agro-industry. From the perspective of women, we consider women in the vast majority as a vulnerable group. However, depending on where they are located, vulnerability could be exacerbated. We are also trying to improve access to finance, especially for small, medium-sized enterprises. Unfortunately, our SME bank is currently facing difficulties, but the government is working to recapitalize it. To finalize this statement, Chair, I would like to take the opportunity to salute the partnership that's been signed between Cameroon and UNCTAD in 2012, and that went operational in 2016. The major outcomes of this partnership have contributed to reshaping the enterprise landscape of Cameroon. Cameroon's e-regulation and e-registration projects have enabled the setting up of one-stop centers for enterprise creation across our 10 regions. Today, enterprises are created within 72 hours anywhere in the country. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and my profound apologies to assign you to the Democratic Republic of Congo. It was not such a long time ago when President Tshisekedi paid us a state visit. So his name is still reverberating in my names. I beg your pardon, sir. Excellencies, colleagues, please bear in mind the time. I had not said this at the beginning, but when you reach your 4th minute, I will pound the table once, and when you exceed the 5 minutes twice, to indicate to you that you have now run beyond the runway. Thank you very much. I have the honor now to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Francisco Gamboa Soto, Minister of Economy, Industry and Commerce, Republic of Costa Rica. Your Excellency, I give you the floor.
Muchas gracias por la invitación de UNTACT a este foro. Yo creo que hay una razón fundamental para que en un foro mundial de inversión se hable y se trate un panel sobre emprendimiento, y yo agregaría sobre micro, pequeña y mediana empresa. Y es que definitivamente de los flujos de inversión entre los países debe beneficiarse los emprendedores y las micro, pequeñas y medianas empresas. No deben estar alejados de los beneficios que los flujos de inversión extranjera directa traen a los países. En esta oportunidad voy a compartir con ustedes lo que hemos hecho durante el último año y medio en Costa Rica, cuando hemos estado a cargo de la Rectoría y Dirección del Apoyo del Emprendimiento y de las MIPYMES. Y hemos hecho lo que a nuestro criterio deben ser las prioridades en gestores de política pública que tengan que ver con estos sectores. Primero, que es buscar que los emprendimientos y las MIPYMES sean cada vez más formales, porque con la formalidad ganan las empresas, ganan los trabajadores de las mismas, gana el Estado, gana la sociedad. Y además, cuando decimos que con la formalización ganan las empresas, es porque aumenta sus posibilidades de financiamiento, sus posibilidades de acceso a programas de apoyo, porque tienen mayor seguridad jurídica y además porque mejoran su imagen y reputación ante clientes y potenciales socios las empresas formales. Segundo, que tengan más mercados. Definitivamente tenemos que hacer que tengan más mercados, que puedan encontrar más lugares donde vender sus productos y sus servicios, y eso ocurre en los mercados locales, para el caso de los países grandes, o en los mercados internacionales, tanto los vecinos cercanos como los no tan cercanos, para el caso de países pequeños como lo es Costa Rica. Así como también las ventas al Estado son en sí mismas, al Estado y sus instituciones son un mecanismo para aumentar los mercados. Que tengan acceso a financiamiento, que sean más innovadoras y transformadas digitalmente. Hoy prácticamente los emprendimientos y las empresas de todos los sectores deben ser tecnológicas, no solo las que están en las áreas de tecnologías de la información y la comunicación, porque hoy la transformación digital debe aplicarse a lo largo de todo el proceso de un emprendimiento y de una pyme, desde que concibe y desarrolla su producto hasta cómo lo vende, hasta cómo maneja su contabilidad y finanzas, cómo busca nuevos clientes, cómo mide la satisfacción del cliente, etc. Que sean más sostenibles ambiental y socialmente. Debemos ir abandonando o superando el paradigma de que solo las empresas grandes tienen estándares de protección del ambiente y estándares de sostenibilidad social, y también las medianas y las pequeñas deben serlo, y los emprendimientos desde que surgen y están en sus primeras etapas deben también nacer con esa visión incorporada. Y por supuesto que implementen los emprendimientos y las pymes esquemas cada vez más asociativos y la formación de esquemas como los clústeres. En materia de formalización hemos implementado una condición con una serie de beneficios, una condición oficial de las pymes, pero además hemos variado sus parámetros para que más empresas tengan la posibilidad de certificarse como tales, y hemos ampliado la cantidad de años de 2 a 4 para los cuales está en vigencia dicha condición. Esto otorga una serie de beneficios, ventajas a la hora de suplirle al Estado, tarifas diferenciadas en trámites como el Estado, por ejemplo, cuando las empresas registran productos y ese tipo de cosas, etc. Y hemos también, para incentivar la formalización, le hicimos una consulta a las organizaciones privadas de todos los subsectores, que cuáles eran los obstáculos que tenían los emprendedores, las micro, pequeñas, medianas y grandes empresas en su diario accionar. De ahí salieron alrededor de 150 trabas tramitológicas, cuellos de botella, obstáculos, y resulta que nos comprometimos como gobierno de la República a eliminar esos 150 obstáculos en un periodo máximo de 6 meses. 50 en 2 meses, 50 en 4 meses y 50 en 6 meses, y lo logramos. Hoy Costa Rica tiene un ambiente de negocios con 150 obstáculos menos para los emprendedores y las micro, pequeñas y medianas empresas. Y eso, sin duda alguna, es muy importante para la formalización. Y bueno, ya que el tiempo está venciéndome, no quería dejar de mencionar todo lo que la importancia de la iniciativa Empretec en Costa Rica, que es llevada a cabo en coordinación con CELIEM. Este programa, impulsado por la ONU, sin duda alguna, identifica y escala a los emprendedores costarricenses, apoyándoles en su gestión empresarial. Hay más cosas que hubiese querido compartirles, pero podrían quedar para otra ronda, otra intervención. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now have the honor to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Darren Pickett, Minister of State, Ministry of Labor, Public Service, Reform, Social Partnership, Entrepreneurship, and Small Business Development, the Commonwealth of Dominica. You have the floor, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting us here today. It is indeed an honor to be here with such distinguished gentlemen and women. I want to say a special good afternoon to our Commonwealth Secretariat that hails from the small island state of Dominica. Dominica is the island in the Windward Islands. It is the largest of the Windward and the Leeward Islands, with a size of approximately 751 square kilometers. By international standards, this is relatively small. However, it is classified by United Nations as one of 47 countries and territories that are small and developing island states. Dominica is vulnerable to the impact of natural disasters and geophysical events. Its economy operates as a small, open economy with heavy reliance on external trade, single-sector export products, mainly agriculture, tourism, and foreign capital for investments and infrastructure development. Despite setbacks from the tropical storm Erica in 2015 and Hurricane Maria in 2017, our economy has displayed resilience with an average growth rate of approximately 3.7% over the past decade. The agriculture sector contributed approximately 15% of our GDP, while tourism accounts for approximately 12%. Small and micro businesses mainly drove this, and through our membership with associations such as the Caribbean Community, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and the Organization of the American States, the OAS, we have been able to grow our economies collectively. With a population of approximately 73,000, the relationship between the public and the private sectors is even more intricate than in many more developed countries. Our government sees the involvement of the private sector and small businesses in national development as essential. As such, policies and interventions are paramount towards creating that enabling environment. We are working to achieve our SDG targets by supporting entrepreneurship and enhancing the private sector. Entrepreneurship and sustainable development are closely related and crucial for shaping our society and our environment. However, it's essential to act now so that we can secure the future of our generation, moving beyond just ideas. Sustainable development encompasses more than just economic growth. It also includes developing our people and preserving our cultures. We made history on October 3rd this year by swearing in our first female indigenous president, Her Excellency Mrs. Sylvanie Burton. Now, this demonstrates our government's commitment to developing and recognizing the abilities of our natives, our Kalinago people, and our women in Dominica. Entrepreneurship positively impacts growth, innovation, improving social conditions, and addressing economic, social, and environmental challenges. And entrepreneurs play a vital role in promoting sustainable development, going beyond the sole objective of maximizing profits. They identify market opportunities and introduce innovative products and services that are environmentally friendly, efficient, and sustainable. Dominica's health and wellness industry is a prime example of this entrepreneurial spirit, which has helped establish our island as a leading destination for nature-based experiences. One of these projects involves We have undertaken several significant projects to promote our climate resiliency in Dominica. And one of those projects involves the building of a geothermal plant that will produce approximately 10 megawatts of clean and renewable energy for our communities. Our goal is to reduce or eliminate our carbon footprint, and this initiative demonstrates our commitment to that objective. In addition, affordable and renewable energy resources will help lower the cost of doing businesses, thus promoting sustainable business practices on our country. Our government has embraced entrepreneurs through many initiatives and fiscal incentives by facilitating their respective enterprise and establishments and their continued growth. In response to various economic and natural disasters, we have supported the private sector in their efforts to rebound stronger and before disaster affected their operations. Our policies are aimed at job creation, which leads to green, inclusive, and fair employment opportunities. Many entrepreneurs are motivated by more than just their financial gain. They aim to positively impact the society by addressing their social and environmental needs. To ensure sustainable development, entrepreneurs need to consider the long-term impact of their business practices, prioritize social and environmental responsibility, and integrate the sustainable practices in their mode of operations. Our government has facilitated the development of nationals, especially the marginalized people, by introducing the Small Business Support Unit in 2007. The Small Business Unit provides both technical, that is non-financial, and financial support to MSMEs. We also established the Dominica Youth Business Trust, which supports the youth in terms of training and developing their own businesses, especially new ones, and right now with a focus on the digital technology. The Caribbean Development Bank also provides good support and for the development of our sustainable businesses from the youth in Dominica. This essentially covers the government's focus when it comes to the establishment of entrepreneurship and small business development. What we have What we have embarked on recently is to also have a more targeted approach. We're looking to better encourage entrepreneurship where these businesses will be aligned with the government policies and the government initiatives and capital projects. So for example, if we are looking to create a marina, the Small Business Support Unit would identify the various types of supporting businesses that would be necessary to help
Excellency, I
that.
beg your pardon, if you could wind up, please.
Sure.
We have shot off a little bit.
Sure.
Thank you.
The Small Business Unit will identify the necessary businesses, the supporting businesses that would be required to help that marina succeed. Not only would we identify the businesses, but we would identify what is necessary in terms of the training, the financial support, and the skills that would need to be established, and we would help the small entrepreneurs develop those skills and attain that financial and technical support, so that when you have the marina completed, you don't just have an isolated white elephant, but you have an entire supporting ecosystem around that. That will enhance the probability of both the marina and the small businesses succeeding. So this is an example of how the government not only creates an enabling environment, but becomes directly invested in the promotion and the support of the small businesses and entrepreneurship in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and forgive me for rushing you. Excellencies, we're not doing so well when it comes to time. If I could just repeat and request that you could perhaps try to squeeze in your remarks within the 5 minutes so we can properly use the time allocated to us. I now have the honor, Your Excellencies, to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Fantino Polanco, Vice Minister of Industrial Development at the Ministry of Industry, Trade, and Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, Dominican Republic. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, presidente. Antes que nada, permítanme, en representación del Gobierno de la República Dominicana y del ministro Víctor Bisonó, ministro de Industria, Comercio y MIPYMES, agradecer la invitación y la oportunidad que se nos brinda de participar en este importante foro. También mostrar la satisfacción de la República Dominicana, señora secretaria, por la organización de este foro y por contar con la UNTAC siempre para promover nuestras políticas. Permítanme comenzar hablándoles un poco del contexto de la inversión extranjera en la República Dominicana. Nuestro país ha demostrado un elevado nivel de resiliencia que ha permitido mantener una trayectoria ascendente en atracción de inversión extranjera, consolidándose como un referente de competitividad en la región. La República Dominicana alcanzó la cifra récord de inversión extranjera con un crecimiento interanual de $4.000 millones, recibiendo el 35% de los flujos de inversión extranjera en la región de Centroamérica para este año. Destacamos los sectores de turismo, energía, la industria y el comercio como los sectores de mayor crecimiento. Asimismo, nuevas formas y medios para impulsar la inversión extranjera y sobre todo para fortalecer los vínculos de esa inversión extranjera con la economía nacional, lo ha constituido, por ejemplo, nuestra Ley de Competitividad Industrial. A través de esta ley, nosotros otorgamos incentivos y exoneraciones fiscales a los inversionistas extranjeros y nacionales que quieren instalarse a producir en la República Dominicana. Incentivos fiscales que le permiten renovar su maquinaria, modernizar, ampliar, expandir sus industrias y que apoyan, por supuesto, las exportaciones. Enfocándonos en el tema del financiamiento para pequeñas, medianas empresas y emprendedores, destacamos que en la República Dominicana existe una ley específica y especial de apoyo al emprendimiento. Esta ley impulsa a todos los actores del ecosistema y los motiva a promover políticas públicas orientadas al fomento de la cultura y del espíritu emprendedor. Hoy más que nunca, el emprendimiento se constituye como un motor para el crecimiento económico y sostenible y el desarrollo social de los países. En nuestro país, en el marco de esta ley, contamos con una red nacional de emprendimiento que se llama RD Emprende. Y esta red articula los diferentes esfuerzos que impulsan nuevos emprendimientos y fortalecen los emprendimientos ya existentes. Una práctica destacable en la República Dominicana lo constituye el Fondo de Contrapartida Financiera para el Desarrollo del Emprendimiento. Nosotros le llamamos en el país el Fondo Confíe. Este es un valioso instrumento de financiamiento que por medio de convocatorias otorga préstamos a emprendedores y los acompañan a hacer crecer sus negocios. Una estrategia eficaz de desarrollo empresarial que hemos implementado en nuestro país es el Decreto 3122. Es un decreto mediante el cual se hacen compras públicas específicamente a las micro, pequeñas y medianas industrias que fabrican en la República Dominicana. Con esta política pública conseguimos varios objetivos de desarrollo. Conseguimos garantizar el acceso de la MIPYME a que pueda venderle al Estado Dominicano. Conseguimos también mejorar la productividad de las MIPYMES, porque las MIPYMES no solo venden al Estado de manera privilegiada, sino que el Estado las acompaña a capacitarse, a fortalecerse, a que puedan cumplir, a que puedan demostrar que cumplen con la calidad. Por ejemplo, una política muy exitosa que estamos llevando a cabo con 7,000 empresas proveedoras del desayuno escolar en las escuelas de la República Dominicana. Las estamos capacitando en buenas prácticas de manufactura, buenas prácticas de higiene, las estamos certificando en calidad y con eso logramos dos cosas. Logramos que las pequeñas industrias le vendan al Estado y también logramos que sepan producir. Y también logramos que los niños de las escuelas dominicanas tengan alimentos producidos en el país y alimentos de calidad. En República Dominicana, desde el gobierno, trabajamos fuertemente en desarrollar empresas proveedoras. Al mismo tiempo que buscamos inversión extranjera, estamos trabajando en desarrollar las capacidades de las empresas dominicanas, proveerle a esas empresas extranjeras, que puedan comprar una serie de insumos, de materiales, de materia prima. Por ejemplo, grandes industrias de zonas francas del sector médico, del sector aparatos médicos, del sector joyería, se han instalado en la República Dominicana y hemos podido convertir a pequeñas empresas dominicanas en proveedores de ella, proveyéndoles cajas, etiquetas, materiales, servicios. Así que la inversión extranjera en la República Dominicana viene acompañada de una estrategia de acercarla y generar encadenamientos entre las pequeñas empresas dominicanas y las grandes inversiones extranjeras. Y por último, solo me queda reiterar el agradecimiento que mi país tiene por participar en este foro. Le agradecemos mucho a todos.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now have the honor to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Babauka Osmaila Juf. I hope I pronounced it correctly, Your Excellency.
Yes.
Minister of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment, Republic of the Gambia. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by thanking UNCTAD for giving me this opportunity to participate in this panel discussion. Allow me to focus on the recent reforms that we in the Gambia have undertaken and the challenges encountered and progress made so far in addressing private sector development, particularly in promoting investment and entrepreneurship for inclusive and sustainable development. In all our reform processes, UNCTAD has played and continues to play an important role in helping us realize our reform objectives, and we thank them. As we recently emerged from a long and difficult period of dictatorship, the Gambia has taken a series of reform initiatives, first to restore confidence in the private sector, to assure them that not only that government means business, but also that their investments are secure and protected. The government had to reform the judiciary to regain public trust and confidence by making the institution independent and free from executive interference, which was the norm that affected the effective and efficient functioning of this very important function of government. In our efforts to restore the economy on a path of growth, the government realized that such objective would be difficult to achieve without the private sector taking a lead as the engineer of growth. This necessitated the business environment reforms aimed at reducing cost of doing business. In this context, the government sought and obtained assistance from UNCTAD to reform its policy and regulatory environment to enhance private sector participation in the economy. Some of the reforms include, but not limited to, formulation of a national micro, small, and medium enterprise policy strategy, national entrepreneurship policy, and investment policy environment review. In addition, my ministry, with the support of UNDP, formulated a private sector development strategy which formed the basis for the development of a project called Support to Entrepreneurship and Private Sector Development. This project supported the review of the national investment policy following the investment policy environment review by UNCTAD. These reforms have provided government strategic direction and guided its interventions in creating the enabling environment for private sector participation in the economy. It has also helped government to identify key strategic sectors for support to spur growth in the economy. The investment policy review in 2016 identified policy and regulatory bottlenecks affecting the country's potential to attract more FDI, as well as domestic resources mobilization for certain key sectors of the economy. The review identified 3 sectors: agro-processing, manufacturing, and ICT as potential areas for private sector investment. The study did not only help to reshape our national investment policy, but also help to redefine our strategy for investment promotion and facilitation, adjust our Business Registration Act, which included removal of some fees and charges. Regarding entrepreneurship policy, with partnership with UNCTAD, for the first time in our history as a country, in 2016, we were able to develop a national entrepreneurship policy. This policy was celebrated by the private sector as an SDG-friendly policy. The policy led to the development of the Empretech program in the Gambia to support the capacity development of entrepreneurs and strengthen the entrepreneurship system in the country. This has been a life-changing journey for many of businesses, particularly for MSMEs. I am pleased to announce that through this initiative, 5 Gambians attained UNCTAD Certified International Master Trainer status, 10 attained National Master Trainer status, and over 30 trainers achieved the status of National Business Service Advisors. Over 20 entrepreneurs attended the training program, and this undoubtedly had some impact on the entrepreneurship landscape in the country. My 5 minutes. The reform process was not without challenges. Resource constraints affected the implementation of many reform initiatives and therefore limited their impact on the economy. This situation was exacerbated by the intrusion of COVID-19, which almost eliminated the entire gains of the reforms. As we begin to recover from COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine conflict has dampened our efforts again for recovery. The triple crisis of climate change, COVID-19 pandemic, and the hostile geopolitical crisis are impacting negatively on our economies and frustrating our efforts to restore our economy on a path of sustainable growth and development. This situation, in my view, calls for our collective efforts to deal with this crisis with sanity. Chairperson, as you may know, am I 5 minutes? I can stop.
Just beyond 5 minutes.
Yeah, let me conclude. Mr. Chair, to conclude, I appreciate the fact that we can share this with the Secretariat, and if there's any other element, they can extract it from the statement. I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope the LDCs, the number, will be reduced with the intervention of the forum. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Republic of Guinea on behalf of Her Excellency, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Small and Micro Enterprises, Mrs. Lupo Lama. On her behalf, I give the floor to the Chargé d'Affaires in the Embassy of the Republic of Guinea in Abu Dhabi, Mr. Mohamed Koroma.
Thank you
I
very
give
much.
you the floor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Forum mondial de l'investissement de la CNUSED, table ronde ministérielle sur l'entrepreneuriat pour le développement durable. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, Madame la Secrétaire générale de la CNUSED, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos rangs, titres et grades, tout protocole observé, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'honneur me choisit de prendre la parole au nom de Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République, chef de l'État, colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, pour remercier la CNUSED de l'invitation de la République de Guinée au Forum mondial de l'investissement, mais également les autorités des Émirats arabes unis pour avoir facilité notre participation avec toutes les commodités mises à la disposition de la délégation guinéenne depuis son arrivée sur la terre hospitalière des Émirats arabes unis. En effet, sous le leadership de Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République, notre pays a adopté de fortes et nombreuses réformes pour faciliter l'investissement et appuyer l'entrepreneuriat afin de faire du secteur privé un moteur de croissance économique inclusive et durable. Mesdames et Messieurs, le plan de développement économique et social sur la transition appelé Programme de référence intérimaire, prix 2022-2025, vise à créer un environnement propice au développement d'un secteur privé national attractif aux investisseurs étrangers. C'est à ce titre que l'amélioration du climat des affaires a été inscrite comme priorité nationale à travers l'adoption de quelques réformes phares, entre autres le renforcement du guichet unique au sein de l'Agence de promotion des investissements privés, APIP, Guinée, qui permet aux investisseurs nationaux et étrangers de créer leur entreprise en moins de 72 heures, tout en leur facilitant désormais l'accès aux avantages fiscaux et douaniers du Code des investissements. Ainsi, en 2022, ce sont plus de 15 000 entreprises qui ont été immatriculées. La mise en place d'un tribunal de commerce pour le règlement des litiges commerciaux, l'adoption d'une plateforme e-tax pour digitaliser le paiement des taxes et impôts afin de renforcer la transparence administrative et la sécurisation des recettes, la création du guichet unique du commerce extérieur pour accélérer les procédures d'importation et d'exportation, la création du guichet unique du permis de conduire et le lancement d'un vaste programme de digitalisation des titres fonciers pour sécuriser et faciliter l'accès aux terres. Ainsi, malgré le choc exogène lié notamment à la pandémie de la COVID-19, l'économie guinéenne est restée résiliente avec une croissance économique qui s'est établie à 5,5% en 2022 contre 4,9% en 2021. De même, la croissance des investissements directs étrangers a plus que doublé, passant de 1,2 milliard de dollars en 2021 et à 3,1 milliards de dollars en 2022. Ces efforts ont permis à la Guinée de passer de la catégorie des pays à faible revenu à celle de pays à revenus intermédiaires, selon les données 2023 de la Banque mondiale. Mesdames, Messieurs, la République de Guinée attire des investissements majeurs notamment dans le secteur minier, faisant d'elle le deuxième pays producteur mondial de la bauxite, grâce au développement des projets d'envergure. C'est l'occasion pour moi de remercier au nom du gouvernement guinéen les autorités des Émirats arabes unis qui contribuent significativement à la transformation de l'économie guinéenne. Pour illustration, Emirates Global Almuna, EGA, a investi près de 1,4 milliard de dollars pour développer ses activités en Guinée à travers Guinée Alumina Corporation, GAC. Environ 3300 emplois sont créés, dont 95% de Guinéens. Et ce sont plus de 225 millions de dollars qui ont été injectés dans l'économie guinéenne en 2022. Qu'elle en soit remerciée. Grâce à la volonté des nouvelles autorités, le projet Simandou, plus grand gisement de fer inexploité au monde, devient enfin une réalité. Évalué à 15 milliards de dollars, ce projet comprend l'extraction du minerai de fer, je peux continuer?
You may wind up.
Okay.
You may wind up. You've gone beyond 5 minutes, but please wind up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ce projet comprend l'extraction du minerai de fer, la construction d'un port en eau profonde et d'un chemin de fer transfrontalier de près de 650 km. Mesdames et messieurs, nous sommes conscients de beaucoup de défis restent à relever pour favoriser l'essor des PME nationales. C'est dans ce cadre que le ministère du Commerce, de l'Industrie et des PME, dont j'ai la charge de diriger, met en œuvre des actions propices pour le renforcement du tissu entrepreneurial en faveur des jeunes, des femmes et des personnes vulnérables. Ainsi, un fonds de garantie de prêts aux entreprises d'une capacité de 7,5 millions de dollars vient d'être mis à la place avec soutien de la Banque mondiale pour faciliter l'octroi des crédits bancaires aux entreprises et industries avec partage des risques. Le 5 octobre 2023, la BIF France et les fonds garantis des prêts aux entreprises FGFPE ont signé un protocole d'accord portant sur des sujets prioritaires qui pourront faire l'objet d'échanges de bonnes pratiques et d'assistance technique pour l'accompagnement du FGF dans la mise en place des produits de garantie, de gestion des risques et de crédit et de contrepartie, le renforcement des capacités du FGFE sur les techniques et financements des petites et moyennes entreprises en fonds pour accompagner leur développement. Mesdames et messieurs, je ne saurais terminer cette intervention sans renouveler mes remerciements à tous nos partenaires au développement et particulièrement à la CONUCED à travers Madame Rebecca Greenspan, secrétaire générale, pour la parfaite organisation de cette rencontre qui nous interpelle sur les mécanismes et les stratégies adoptées afin de favoriser la promotion de l'investissement privé et d'assurer un développement durable. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Chargé d'Affaires. I now have the honor, dear colleagues, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to give the floor to Her Excellency, Ms. Foneva Othoval, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Planning and Investment, Laos People's Democratic Republic. Your Excellency, I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Excellency Chair and Madam Chair. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this esteemed roundtable meeting and to
Your
share
Excellency,
some of
do you have your mic on?
Laopedia.
Do you have your mic on, Your Excellency? Guinea, could you
Okay.
kindly
Can
switch
you
off your
hear
mic?
me? Okay.
Guinea,
Yes,
Sorry?
I can hear you. Since the formulation of Addis Ababa Action Plan in 2015, we have recognized the importance of aligning various financial flows with our development priorities. As a government policymaker working for Ministry of Planning and Investment, which has been mandated as a secretariat to the government on the macroeconomic management, I have actively involved in shaping public policies and capital expenditure management, including vision, strategies, and national plans, all of which integrate enterprise development. So I warmly welcome this opportunity to engage with the international private sector. As the least developed countries, we face numerous challenges in improving our business environment to attract high-quality private investment, including responsible quality investors that support sustainable and inclusive development. As we move towards LDC graduation expected in 2026, we have made significant progress in improving our development and living standard of our people. We have developed the first financing strategy to support the implementation of our 9 national plan, which was endorsed by our Prime Minister in this June. The strategy outlines steps to optimize investment both of public and private sector and set out measures to foster inclusive development driven by enterprises. Our ministry has close collaboration with line ministries and development partners to monitor and conduct the comprehensive assessment of development agenda, including SME and MSMEs performance. And this evaluation will guide future strategic planning. And we're also taking steps to expedite the efforts in mobilizing, improving fiscal performance, modernizing and digitalizing tax system to facilitate the formulation of the businesses and reduce the administrative burden faced by the entrepreneurs. In addition to our efforts to improve public performance, my ministry also working on the PPP diagnostic to upgrade the existing PPP degree to a law. And we're also reviewing the existing law on investment promotion, as well as working with concerned stakeholders to promote financial inclusion, as well as identifying challenges and needs of MSMEs to ensure improved access to diversified and sustainable finance and enhancing their competitiveness. While we have clear priorities and a roadmap, we also fully aware of challenges that we must overcome. During the 78th UN Secretary Assembly, I had the honor to participate in the discussion on several initiatives at the supporting developing countries, especially the LDCs, in addressing challenges. Additionally, during the SDG Summit weekend, which took place prior to UNGA 78, I took part of a panel discussion chaired by Madame Rebecca Crispan, Secretary General of UNTAD. And I would also like to welcome the SDG stimulus proposed by UN Secretary General, which was a significant highlight during those discussions. And the SDG Summit highlights the crucial commitments to mobilize private sector investment, as well as integral part of aligning our global development agenda. We have incorporated the outcomes and recommendations from those dialogues into our midterm review of the 9 national plans, which will be presented to the National Assembly in the end of this month after this important meeting. It will also provide a useful input for the upcoming 10 national plans. And the next 5 years plan will also continue to incorporate these important SDGs for 2026 to 2030. And promoting enterprises is crucial in achieving these priorities, as mark up more than 90% of total businesses in our country and the backbone of our economy, as mentioned by Madam Chair. I hope that this forum is a meaningful platform to facilitate the dialogue on how the public and private sectors can work together more effectively to support the SMEs and also MSMEs. I also believe that through this close collaboration and strong partnership between the government, private sector, development partners, and other stakeholders, we can surely achieve our optimized goal on SDGs. Once again, thank you very much, UNTAS and the UAA and also organizing committee for this meaningful platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Secretary General in the Ministry of Entrepreneurship and Cooperatives Development in Malaysia, Honorable Dato Sri Suryani binti Dato Ahmed. I hope I've pronounced it correctly and I've not mutilated it. I give the floor to you, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have pronounced my name perfectly. Excellencies, distinguished guests, distinguished delegates, esteemed participants, I am deeply honored to be in the presence of such distinguished delegates in this Enterprise Ministerial Roundtable session. I would like to take this opportunity to share Malaysia's efforts in embracing innovative strategies to foster sustainable economic growth and inclusivity in our nation building. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2021, Malaysia launched the National Investment Aspirations, or NIA, which has since reformed Malaysia's current investment strategies by focusing on coherence and cohesiveness to be reflected across all national policies that relates to investment. NIA's framework was formed to achieve 5 overarching goals: to increase economic complexity, create high-value jobs, extend domestic linkages, develop new and existing clusters, and improve inclusivity. These goals, together with the fundamentals of environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, were embedded into our key national plans, such as the 12 Malaysia Plan and the new Industrial Master Plan, NIMP. NIMP charts a new pathway for industrialization in Malaysia, with push for net zero identified as one of the key missions under the plan. In this context, Malaysia has launched the IESG framework to guide small and medium enterprises, SMEs, in the manufacturing sector to embrace ESG practices by providing clear guidelines and enablers. The government also encourages financial institutions to consider allocating resources to industries, manufacturers, and exporters in areas such as sectoral decarbonization, electric mobility, as well as technologies on circular economy. This will uplift SMEs' capability to participate in higher value-added activities, to make them more export-ready and participate in the global value chain. It is expected that Malaysia will be able to tap into a $12 trillion global market of ESG-focused opportunities in manufacturing industry. The 12 Malaysia Plan adopts a transformative approach centered around 3 themes, namely resetting the economy, enhancing security, well-being, and inclusivity, and advancing sustainability. To realize these goals, the government has launched key initiatives focusing on 8 target sectors for growth: E&E, global services, tourism, aerospace, halal, smart farming, biomass, and the creative sector. In each of these sectors, MSMEs play an integral part as they make up around 98% of total business establishments in Malaysia and form 48.2% of the total workforce. We believe that MSMEs should leverage on the low-hanging fruits of green transition as initial steps in their ESG journey. Small actions such as turning off lights and using energy-efficient equipment in their workplace can bring big impacts to the workplace and environment. The government of Malaysia has also launched the National Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETR, outlining Malaysia's efforts towards achieving a sustainable and inclusive energy system. NETR is crucial in navigating the complexity of energy transition on a large scale, especially the shift from a traditional fossil fuel-based economy to a high-value green economy. 10 flagship catalyst projects have been identified. One of them is the development of solar parks managed by the national utility company Tenaga Nasional Berhad, providing opportunities for SMEs and cooperatives' involvement in the flagship project. The 10 flagship projects are expected to attract investments of more than 25 billion ringgit Malaysia, create 23,000 job opportunities, and reduce GHG emissions by more than 10,000 gigatons of CO2 equivalent per year. Ladies and gentlemen, inclusivity is one of the essential elements in Malaysia's entrepreneurship development. Through the Entrepreneurship for All initiative, we consistently provide targeted trainings and mentorship programs for special focus groups, such as women, youth, indigenous people, and lower income groups. For instance, in 2021, 14 programs were implemented to provide benefits for more than 300,000 women with an expenditure totaling 1.53 billion ringgit Malaysia. Similarly, over 300,000 individuals from the bottom 40 low-income group have benefited with a total expenditure of 1.5 billion ringgit Malaysia. I would also like to share the development of social entrepreneurship in Malaysia. The Social Entrepreneurship Action Framework 2030, or SEMAI 2030, was launched to focus on the development of an effective regulatory and governance framework to ensure social enterprises operate with responsibility and accountability. A framework was created for SE accreditation, which gives credibility to the accredited SEs, as well as opening up market access to SEs in Malaysia. To encourage more SEs to be accredited, the government has introduced income tax exemption to accredited SEs until 2030 and recently extended to 2025, announced under the Budget 2024 by the Prime Minister. In conclusion, Malaysia's commitment to economic progress, sustainability, and inclusivity is evident in the comprehensive initiatives and frameworks outlined today. Malaysia recognizes the importance of empowering its micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, as well as social entrepreneurs, as key drivers of economic growth, sustainability, and inclusivity. Thus, we look forward to the sharing of policies and programs that will enhance the ecosystems for MSMEs to flourish and further develop their businesses, including actions to ensure that they are well equipped to thrive in a rapidly changing global landscape. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Republic of Mauritius, Her Excellency Ms. Marie-Christiane Doreen Chukori, Minister of Commerce and Consumer Protection. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, Secretary General, good afternoon. First, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this Ministerial Roundtable. Mauritius is a small island located in the Indian Ocean with a population of 1.28 people. In this era of environmental challenges and climate change, it's imperative that we prioritize investment that align with sustainability goals. Sustainable development requires concrete actions and strategic investment that promote economic growth while at the same time safeguarding our planet resources. And if we want to make a difference, we need to pioneer novel approaches that not only attract foreign investment, but also forge stronger links with our domestic economy. In Mauritius, we have witnessed how these fresh strategies have invigorated local industries, creating a harmonious synergy between international and domestic stakeholders. This synergy extends to entrepreneurship, where innovation is at the heart of our sustainable development efforts. There is a need for a compact outlining priority action spanning financial mechanisms to investment policies to ensure sustainable energy for all and bridge the investment gap. Mauritius, with its successful initiative, can serve as an example of how creating innovative channels empowers grassroots innovation, catalyzes economic dynamism, and builds resilience within our communities. As part of our sustainable development initiatives, Mauritius is proud to announce a major investment development in ecotourism. Our breathtaking landscape and pristine natural beauty have long made Mauritius a tourist haven, but we are taking it a step further. Ecotourism in Mauritius seeks to offer environmentally responsible and culturally enriching experiences. We are establishing eco-friendly lodges, resorts, and tour operators that not only promote conservation, but also ensure that our tourism industry is a driver of sustainable growth. This innovative approach benefits both tourism and conservation, demonstrating our strong commitment to a holistic and sustainable future. But our commitment to sustainable development does not stop there. We recognize that entrepreneurship is the driving force behind sustainable progress. In Mauritius, entrepreneurship isn't just about profit. It's about addressing our environmental challenges head-on. It's about harnessing the ingenuity of our people to create eco-friendly businesses and technologies that protect our environment. It's about embracing renewable energy, reducing waste, and promoting sustainable agricultural practices. Moreover, entrepreneurship in Mauritius extends its reach beyond urban centers. It bridges the gap between urban and rural areas, reducing economic inequality. It empowers individuals and communities, giving them the tools and resources to improve their quality of life. Recognizing the pivotal role of small and medium-sized enterprises in driving economic growth and sustainability, Mauritius has implemented a range of fiscal incentives tailored to support these vital businesses. These incentives include tax breaks, reduced administrative burdens, and access to specialized financing options. Through these measures, we aim to provide a nurturing environment where SMEs can thrive, innovate, and contribute significantly to our sustainable development goals. Mauritius firmly believes that empowering SMEs not only stimulates entrepreneurship, but also promotes economic diversity and resilience in the face of global challenges. In line with this vision, Mauritius offers a unique opportunity as a sustainable investment platform in Africa. With its stable political environment, well-developed infrastructure, and strategic location, Mauritius provides a conducive business climate for investors looking to make sustainable investment in Africa. Lastly, to ensure that our efforts bear its fruit, we recognize the importance of constructing comprehensive frameworks that seamlessly interlace investment and enterprise policies. These frameworks serve as the bedrock of our commitment to private sector development, underpinning formalization programs in developing countries and fostering sustainable growth on an unprecedented scale. In conclusion, entrepreneurship for sustainable development is not just a concept, it's a necessity. Together, we can build vibrant, environmentally resilient, and socially inclusive economies. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I now have the honor to give the floor to Her Excellency, the Minister of Industrialization and Trade, the Republic of Namibia, Ms. Lucia Lepumbu. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and I duly acknowledge the Secretary General of UNCTAD while appreciating the opportunity given to us to be part of these roundtable discussions. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Namibia recognizes the importance of fostering a business environment that encourages private sector growth and entrepreneurship so that we support our nation's development goals by adopting various initiatives and strategy to achieve these objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the key priorities Namibia have taken to boost our country's economy is to go green. We understand the critical role that sustainable practices play in achieving the SDGs, particularly when it comes to the environment protection objectives, which we have entrenched in our Constitution. Therefore, we are committed to promoting eco-friendly business practices, we're reducing carbon emissions and enhancing resource efficiency. We are committed to develop a policy and legislative framework that is seized to moment to ensure the equitable development through a combination of incentives, regulations, and support mechanisms. We aim to encourage the private sector investment in green technology and sustainable business models. We place strong emphasis on social enterprise and impact investment. We recognize the potential of the businesses to drive the positive social change and alleviate poverty. To this end, our policies support the social enterprise that tackle pressing societal issues such as the economic value, our impact on the investment, both domestic and international. At the regulatory framework level, we are reviewing our Foreign Investment Act to remodel it and make sure that it now encompasses local investors as well, and henceforth now we have it in the name of the Namibia Investment Promotion and Facilitation Act. And another focal point is the promotion of the entrepreneurship with a particular focus on youth and women who have been the vulnerable group in recognition of the past. Though the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, in collaboration with all other stakeholders and partners, have also looked at the various mechanisms for training opportunities, we have co-opted and collaborated with the Empretec Ghana to make sure that we domesticate Empretec Namibia with the support of the UNDP funding, which now the program focuses on behavioral approach that changes people's mindset, creates dynamic entrepreneurship culture, and a significant impact in the job creation in the country. Together with the United Nations Development that is now UNCTAD, we are improving in the policy regulative framework again by strengthening the investment and entrepreneurship policy interface. Part of our work is focused on bridging the gap and uplifting our informal business to make them and bring them in the mainstream of the formal economy. As such, we are working on informal economy and entrepreneurship national development policy, which will focus on ensuring that we bring especially the informal sector on board. We also have the deliberative efforts for revamping our investment and promotion bill as narrated earlier on, together with a special economic zone policy to make sure that we resuscitate our economic activities post the pandemic. Let us therefore commit to unleashing entrepreneurship potential through coherent, multi-sectoral and long-term approach to enhance the role of entrepreneurship economic, financial, social, and environmental sustainability. In our conclusion, the path to sustainable and inclusive development necessitates the active involvement of the private sector. We have thus developed a platform which is chaired by the Namibia Trade Forum together with the Namibia Investment Development Promotion that is on annual basis engage the private sector, as well as the strategic opportunities with coordinated policies. We therefore believe that the exchange of ideas and experience that we are learning from you today here will help us to move closer to achieving our SDGs and domesticating their implementation as an extension of the Millennium Development Goal. Namibia remains dedicated to building a future that is not only prosperous, but that is equitable and environmental responsive. Thank you very much for your attention.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Seychelles, the Minister of Industrialization, the Minister for Investment, Entrepreneurship and Industry, I beg your pardon, Her Excellency Ms. Devika Vidot. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary General of UNCTAD, I also recognize the presence of the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, members of the Seychelles delegation in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you. I'd like to thank the organizers for giving Seychelles the chance to participate in the roundtable and giving us the opportunity to recount some of our successes, but most importantly, to share some of the challenges that we have been facing. So Seychelles continues to explore ways and means to attract impactful investment that not only results in employment and wealth creation, but also results in demand for goods and services from the larger foreign-owned investment to benefit the local businesses. On the other hand, entrepreneurs also need the appropriate environment and support to be able to exploit these opportunities as they arise. Unfortunately for Seychelles, the entrepreneurship ecosystem is still very much in its infancy. The government, when we came into office almost 3 years ago, quickly realized this and pushed to accelerate the process. The starting point was the need to have a clear strategy, a clear roadmap in regards to how do we move things forward. And just about a year ago, I'm pleased to report that the Ministry of Investment, Entrepreneurship and Industry launched the National Entrepreneurship Strategy, which was developed with the invaluable support of UNCTAD. And I'd like to take this opportunity, Madam Secretary General, to thank UNCTAD once again for the invaluable support and for the commendable work done. The gist of the strategy is to create a favorable environment and provide support to entrepreneurs who would be able to not only identify opportunities, but also gaps in the markets and develop these into viable businesses. Within the context of the strategy, we have devised several measures, including building the capacity of selected institutions and government agencies to provide focused attention and support to MSMEs and startups. We have been looking at revamping the national curriculum of the education system to include entrepreneurship modules and entrepreneurship influence modules to instill entrepreneurial values in the youth. We have within the Ministry of Investment and Entrepreneurship a division of science, technology, and innovation that is tasked with promoting the integration of technology and innovation within businesses. We are in the process of setting up an incubator framework to aid businesses grow their business concepts from ideas to an actual commercially viable venture. We're currently undergoing a science, technology, and innovation review with the aim of emerging with a solid plan to improve the use of science, technology, and innovation in the domestic economy and to support the investments that are coming through. Within the context of supporting the achievement of the SDGs, we have revamped a grant facility that is financed by government to support micro businesses that are aligned with specific priority sectors, most of which have been identified in the SDG Investor Map. And for those who are not present this morning, the SDG Investor Map is a marketing tool, a marketing intelligence tool that we are currently using to attract investment to opportunity areas that are aligned with the SDGs. and also with the country's national development agenda and our revamped industrial policy. And again, the SDG Investor Map was a combined effort with the UNDP and the Seychelles government. We will be soon launching a label called the Seychelles Made to encourage local and innovative production, which can further strengthen the inclusivity of local businesses with larger foreign-owned investments. Ladies and gentlemen, despite remarkable efforts, challenges remain which the government strives to overcome. This includes conflicts with existing trade agreements, which pose a serious threat to the ability of the country to establish domestic policies that support inclusivity agenda. Access to finance is another major constraint, and being regarded as middle to high income definitely denies Seychelles the support from partner organizations that would have otherwise helped in alleviating the problem. Due to budgetary restrictions, we have not been able to sign up for the AmProtect program, and this as well has unfortunately hindered our progress extensively. I'd like to end here by recognizing that we definitely need further support in the area of entrepreneurship development, and which would help us in aligning our the international agenda to our national objectives of creating opportunities for the more vulnerable or even marginalized groups of society and foster inclusive growth. Thank you for your attention.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for your remarks. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Republic of Zambia. Her Excellency, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Mrs. Subeta Kiambakuka Mutelo. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. You pronounce my names very correctly. Thank you. Your Excellency, the Secretary General of UNCTAD, Madam Rebecca Greenspan, special recognition to Madam Patricia Scott, the Secretary General to Commonwealth, ministers, distinguished panelists, captains of the industry, distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to represent my nation, the Republic of Zambia, in this year's investment forum aimed at addressing key investment challenges caused by today's multiple global crises. The current key global investment challenges include investment in food security, energy, health, supply chain resilience, and productive capacity growth, such as technology, especially in poorest countries. This afternoon, I will be speaking to the challenges our entrepreneurs in Zambia and MSMEs face, relating to the challenges to the theme of this year's United Nations 8th World Investment Forum, which is investing in sustainable development. This is every nation's pursuit, regardless of level of development, due to the issues of climate change. Distinguished guests, Zambia recognizes that sustainable development can only be attained if our economic and social development embraces environmental concerns across successive generations. This entails that as we develop, we need to restore. However, this does not happen automatically, since markets are motivated by price signals. Therefore, by investing in developing a robust private sector, especially in micro, small, and medium enterprise and cooperatives, providing linkages by supporting value chains and the growth of inclusive businesses across various sectors, we better attain this goal. To this effect, the government has placed private enterprise growth, particularly that of the MSMEs, at the center of wealth creation and job creation through production and trade for economic development and poverty reduction. This is evident in the strides the Zambian government has made since August 2021. One of them being the creation of the ministry dedicated to the promotion, development, and growth of MSMEs, the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise Development. This alongside a number of policies and initiatives are being formulated or revised to ensure a strong innovation and ecosystem that promotes the sustainability and growth of MSMEs and ultimately the economy. In this agenda, youths and women, persons with disability, and marginalized groups are at the center. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the Zambia Development Agency report, 97% of all businesses in Zambia are micro, small, and medium enterprises. 88% of employment is attributed to this sector, and they account to 70% of the gross domestic product of the economy. The major challenges inhibiting MSMEs growth in Zambia and indeed in Southern Africa region are lack of access to appropriate finance, investment capital, business development services, information, and market. Accordingly, the interventions government is undertaking through policy reforms and implementation of various strategies and measures are all aimed at addressing these challenges. For instance, most of our MSMEs have little capacity to attract foreign direct investment. To address this, government is increasing their capacity through training and providing of information of market opportunities, both local and foreign, through expos and trade missions, and through strengthening local content policies to ensure that foreign investment coming into the country supports the growth of MSMEs, productivity particularly, with the regard to value addition. Further, the government, through the leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has shown unprecedented support to help entrepreneurs by increasing Constituency Development Fund from $71,428 to $1.3 billion every year in each and every constituency of the 156 constituencies. Government has also increased the Citizen Economic Empowerment Fund from $1.1 million to $19 million in the past 2 years. 60% of these figures, ladies and gentlemen, go to women and the youth, persons with disability, and the marginalized. From 2022 to 2023, government through the Ministry of SME has supported over 35,000 women and youth with startup capital, and these have been housed in the industrial yards across the country with businesses such as agribusiness, food processing, metal fabrication, stone polishing, and wood processing. In addition, an enabling environment is thus being created to enable that large multinational companies support the growth of MSMEs on one hand, whilst forging of partnerships between local MSMEs and firms from developed countries. This is for the mutual benefit through joint ventures, initiatives, and alternative finance on the other. This is the commitment the Zambian government is putting in supporting the entrepreneurs in the country. Distinguished guests, according to finance, access to finance is critical in the startup development and expansion of any enterprise. MSMEs have challenges in accessing appropriate finance to suit their growth and requirements, mainly due to the high cost of finance and onerous terms by the institutions, financial institutions, such as the banks. The issue of MSMEs' access to appropriate finance is consequently on both the supply and the demand sides. To address the issue of access to affordable finance, both at national and global level, there is need for collaboration of financial and development institutions to come up with alternative financing models, or put crudely, cheap finance coupled with initiatives that mitigate the risks associated with MSMEs by building the capacity of MSMEs. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I wish to repeat that the government of the Republic of Zambia attaches great importance to the development and growth of micro and small and medium enterprises and entrepreneurs, cooperatives, as well as they are key to the sustainability, economic development, and to the business ecosystems. We realize that research and development, innovation and creativity, and value addition and capacity building through technology uptake have the potential to grow the global economy exponentially. Therefore, through engagements and investments that may come out of different platforms, such as the World Investment Forum, the nation stands to benefit. For that reason, we aim to seize this moment to network with you all and other Green Initiative partners to create meaningful business relationships and partnerships aimed at enhancing technological advancement, innovation, and productivity of our businesses for profitability and a sustainable economy. With these remarks, I wish to take this opportunity to thank you, the United Nations Secretariat, and particularly the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the UNCTAD, for promoting the interests of developing countries in the world trade through this forum. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your sentiments and remarks, Zambia. Could I just kindly remind the speakers to try and keep within the 5 minutes which have been allocated? I'll be profoundly delighted if we could do so. I now I have the honor to give the floor to the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Her Excellency, Mrs. Monica Mujwangwa. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me also begin by honoring and saluting the Secretary General of UNCTAD, Ms. Rebecca Greenspan. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Mrs. Patricia Scotland. I must say to distinguished honorable members who are here, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be part of this ministerial roundtable to discuss entrepreneurship for sustainable development. I would like to extend my gratitude also to the government of United Arab Emirates and UNCTAD for organizing such a powerful forum where we are learning a lot in bringing up all key issues. Mr. Chair, listening to the presentations by my colleagues before me, it is clear that entrepreneurship is playing a key role in the growth and development of nations and in the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. And this is being done by fostering innovation, creating jobs, and increasing productivity. Entrepreneurship continues to bring in new goods, new services, and technologies into the market, stimulating demand and fueling economic progress. In Zimbabwe, entrepreneurship has been on the rise, with increasing numbers of people starting their own businesses. This is due largely in part to the deliberate efforts by the government of Zimbabwe under the astute leadership of Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa as our president. He has continuously given impetus to the accelerated growth of SMEs sector as a critical driver of sustainable development for our country. And this has been done through enabling legislative infrastructure, also financing small-scale businesses and broadening market access internally, regionally, and beyond. There has also been a development of policies which are conducive to SMEs. And just to say, according to the 2021 survey, MSMEs constitute more than 90% of all businesses in Zimbabwe. That's about 3.4 million companies. And they provide employment to more than 80% of the working population, which is about 4.8 million full-time employees, the majority of whom are women, the youth, and people who are living with disabilities. The country's blueprint recognizes the MSME's contribution to the nation's sustainable industrial development. The MSMEs have also been very integral in climate change adaptation and mitigation through the initiatives which are in renewable energy and involvement in the circular economy, turning waste into the economic value products. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, despite the huge contribution which is coming from the MSMEs, they still face a number of challenges which include lack of business management skills, funding, limited access to viable markets, workspace, antiquated technology, and limited opportunities for coaching and mentorship. Ladies and gentlemen, lack of access to these key business development services affects the sustainability, viability, competitiveness, and productivity of SMEs. And then we also have to note that in our country, a lot of SMEs have remained informalized, 60%. To address all these challenges, an entrepreneurship ecosystem with an interactive network of stakeholders, including government, has been put in place. And to promote long-term development of entrepreneurs in my country, the government, in collaboration with various stakeholders, established a comprehensive policy framework, MSMA. This is to foster coordination among all stakeholders. This policy outlines strategies to enhance productivity, quality, employment capacity, as well as domestic and export competitiveness. We are looking at some of the initiatives and programs which Zimbabwe has done to succeed and continue to do, like supporting access to finance, promoting access to markets, promoting business management skills, providing digital skills, promoting access to modern production technologies, supporting SMEs linkages with standards bodies, and quality assurance, because it's important to get products of quality and so that we can export to the whole world. Providing also workspace has been a key as government, as we include also core working spaces. Also implementing a broad-based women economic empowerment framework to enhance the participation of women in key sectors such as agriculture, mining, tourism, manufacturing, and services. We have also continued to work hard to develop that national formalization strategy, which will guide and assist the formalizing of that informal sector. And there are other interventions which government is doing, like working with universities, several higher institutes of learning. They've introduced degrees in entrepreneurship and business management, and also short courses. Also, innovation hubs have been introduced and industrial sites in our universities as the government introduced heritage-based education 5.0, which will make all students coming out of university being able to produce a product or a service. And that has gone a long way in making sure that they don't become job seekers, rather they become creators of jobs. So the country offers huge potential for entrepreneurial opportunities in those sectors I've mentioned. And for sustainable entrepreneurship development, we avail modern efficient technologies to improve efficiencies. We encourage eco-friendly production, the methods for sustainability, and to us as a country, partnerships between government, the private sector, and development partners is very critical. Our government realizes the importance of private sector involvement as we move with the country's economic transformation. In conclusion, I would like to thank you again for organizing this wonderful, wonderful forum, and I'm happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, I thank you for those remarks. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat, the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland. I give the floor to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I'm tempted, bearing in mind your strictures in relation to timing, and that there are 9 of my members here, simply to say I agree. However, there is a little more perhaps I can add, and can I straight away say what a great privilege and pleasure it is for me to be with my great friend and sister, Rebecca Greenspan. and how much we value the incredible partnership to which she has already referred, because it is essential that we act in partnership if we are to deliver the change. And it is wonderful to be here, not just with Commonwealth ministers, we have 9 Commonwealth countries represented, but everyone else is our friend. And so I warmly thank you for including me in this roundtable. But if we're honest, we know that as we meet today, the world is off track when it comes to delivering the Sustainable Development Goals. And the shortfall in SDG funding is as much as 4 trillion per year. And this affects everyone. But the small and developing nations of the Commonwealth and elsewhere, it is critical. And in order to turn the tide, we all know that thriving economies based on enterprise, investment, and trade are essential. And we all know how important foreign direct investment can be. Under the right conditions, FDI inflows can create new jobs, can play a critical role in aiding integration into global value chains, international trade, and the world economy. But they can also serve as important conduits for technology transfer and diffusion, support the development of domestic industries through demonstration effects and knowledge spillovers, and in some circumstances, help to complement or crowd in domestic investment. Yet we must be honest. When it comes to SDG implementation, the financing gaps in FDI and other forms of private finances are far too large. And inside our Commonwealth, global economic, environmental, and security pressures are driving down FDI from non-Commonwealth countries, especially for our small states. Indeed, in 2021, Commonwealth small states collectively attracted 11.6 billion USD in FDI, but it was down from 41.7 billion in 2005, 45 billion in 2010, and 82.2 billion at its peak in 2012. So urgent action is required to reverse these trends and close the major financing gap which are hampering further development in many countries. And pursuit of this action is a priority for our Secretariat. And our team has identified several important tools, strategies, and policies which can help to grow responsible and sustainable FDI. And these include the platforms to connect foreign investors with opportunities and provide information on local regulations. Second, technical assistance to help our members proactively build the capacity of their investment promotion agencies and private sector entities such as chambers of commerce. Mechanisms to promote technology transfer and diffusion, knowledge sharing and cooperation on R&D between foreign investors and domestic businesses or organizations, and targeted incentives to attract foreign investors in strategic sectors and industries, particularly for investment that provide jobs or business opportunities for women, youth, small farmers, and MSMEs. And our targeted work with MSEs is particularly notable in Cameroon and Gambia, Belize, Mauritius, Nigeria, Tonga, and I'll submit our notes where you can see how important these have been. But through our support for the Intra-Commonwealth SME Association, we are building awareness of global standards and encouraging investment countries which have competitiveness but lack capacity. And building on the impact and insights of this work, our Commonwealth trade ministers resolved to reconvene a working group on trade and investment and have set up an investment action group. And these steps are principled and practical, but they take full potential, will only be realized if we continue to work with partnership, which is why I value our relationship with UNCTAD so highly, especially its focus on our women's economic empowerment, the investment for development, e-commerce, and the digital economy. However, the progress we make on these initiatives now will only be sustainable in the long term if we successfully focus our efforts on young people. 60% of the Commonwealth is under the age of 30. And their energy, their creativity, their hunger for change have the potential to reshape our world. It's just really interesting to remember that if we look at the unicorns, the majority of them have been created by people under the age of 35. So if we really want to drive our economy, we have to focus on our young people. And we as policymakers and decision makers need to focus on unleashing their full potential. And the Commonwealth Youth Credit Initiative, the policy guide on youth entrepreneurship, we have developed in partnership with UNCTAD, which Rebecca has referred to, the training for government officials in youth entrepreneurship policy and the Young Entrepreneurs Network we have established in Asia, Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific are all meaningful steps. But the technological revolution we are living through is becoming critical to nearly every sector and is leading to a total transformation of the way the world works and the way we live our lives. And we must equip our young people with the skills and confidence they need, not only to survive in the modern economy, but to thrive in it, indeed, to shape it. And that's the work we've been doing with Simply Learn, the $5 million for young people in the Commonwealth. But what's really important is the focus of the AI for Youth. And that initiative, which has been developed in partnership with Intel, which builds youth skills and opportunity in AI. And it's the focus of the Commonwealth AI Consortium, which I launched earlier this year in collaboration with industry leaders and academic institutions, which accelerates the scope and reach of AI and digital skills for the Commonwealth's 1.5 billion young people. But in order to achieve our shared goals of achieving thriving economies based on inclusive enterprise, investment and trade, we need robust policy frameworks and support programs which facilitate the creation of new enterprises and which provide a safety net for those who may encounter challenges along the way. And from youth entrepreneurship to supporting trade and FDI, the Commonwealth is working hard with our member states to achieve this. But we stand ready to work with all our partners from beyond the Commonwealth and across the international community to identify the best ways to support economic development growth and get back on track to achieve the SDGs. Now, we believe if we work in partnership together, if we choose, we can do this. And I invite everybody around this table, without exception, to come and help us to do that. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary General. I now have the honor to give the floor to the Deputy Executive Director for the UN Coordination, Partnerships, Resources, and Sustainability, UN Women, Mr. Muwez Durate. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. You have the floor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon. Excellencies, Secretary General of UNCTAD, distinguished colleagues, let me first express our deep appreciation for the partnership with UNCTAD, between UN Women and UNCTAD, to support women entrepreneurs. It's making a positive difference around the world. I also express gratitude for our host country, the United Arab Emirates, where UN Women is also cooperating to support women entrepreneurs. Before highlighting UN Women's work in the area of women and entrepreneurship, I'd like to share with you some data regarding women and entrepreneurship worldwide. While we all know half of humanity is female, yet we are far from gender parity when it comes to women in entrepreneurship. Women are only a third of growth entrepreneurs. They are only a third of innovation entrepreneurs. The sector where women are most represented is wholesale and retail, where nearly half of women entrepreneurs work. In the area of government and social welfare, nearly a fifth of women entrepreneurs participate in that sector. However, in the most rapidly growing sectors, women are far behind. For example, in information communication and technologies, only 2.7% of women entrepreneurs are active compared to 4.7% of men entrepreneurs. And as we know, this is the sector where we find unicorns, and it's the sector that attracts the most venture capital. The efforts cited by you excellencies around the table to promote women's entrepreneurship are crucial to empower women and advance us towards gender equality. UN Women stands ready to support your efforts. My colleagues at UN Women and I contribute to gender-responsive entrepreneurship ecosystems and to supporting women entrepreneurs. Given the limited time I have, Chair, I will focus on only one area, which is promoting entrepreneurship through gender-responsive procurement, GRP. GRP means improving women's access to business opportunities as well as women's working conditions by doing business with gender-responsive companies. This year, UN Women published a report that identified 8 types of legal measures to promote women's entrepreneurship through GRP. These include targets, they include monitoring, they include standard setting, as well as quotas. In several countries, UN Women is a key player in helping revise legal frameworks to be more gender responsive. For example, in Senegal, we contributed to the establishment of government quotas for women-led business in public contracts. It's an example that you may consider to emulate. This builds on similar work in Kenya. In South Africa, UN Women supports a presidential task force to promote GRP. We also lead the UN system's efforts to ensure that its annual procurement expenditures of about $30 billion is gender responsive. And we work with UN partners to generate knowledge and energy to leverage GRP for women's entrepreneurship broadly. For example, we work with ILO to develop, we worked with ILO already and developed a brief that expanded the definition of GRP so that entrepreneurship and decent work go hand in hand. We are also working with the International Trade Center to promote high-level leadership with GRP, and with the UN Global Compact, we work to help companies apply and practice gender-responsive procurement. Finally, in terms of programs, UN Women has supported more than 1,000 companies and organizations to practice and apply gender-responsive procurement across 40 countries. To accompany demand-side interventions, we also provide targeted upskilling tools and platforms for women and their enterprises. For example, we are proud to have partnered with the government of the UAE to train 7,000 women here in this country to better access procurement opportunities. In conclusion, I'd like to make 2 points. Significantly greater financial investment, including through innovative financing, is needed for transformative solutions that tackle not only symptoms, but structural barriers and create improved opportunities and outcomes for women entrepreneurs, including a more systematic approach to engaging women in global, regional, and domestic supply chains. Second, it is essential to listen to women. Their voices contain a multiplicity of experiences and aspirations. UN Women's greatest strength is our participation in networks of women's groups who have organized to create a better world. Women's business and trade associations are crucial partners, and we must elevate their leadership. So let's jointly invest in women's entrepreneurs, economic empowerment as an end in itself, and also as a multiplier of sustainable development outcomes for all.
Thank you very much for your remarks. I now have the honor to give the floor to the International Labour Organization, the Assistant Director General, Jobs and Social Protection, Ms. Maria S. Sipo. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for ably taking us through this afternoon. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary for the Commonwealth Secretariat, and a special thanks to UNCTAD and to the Secretary General for bringing us together this afternoon at a point in time when dialogue is more important than ever. The International Labour Organization has many years of experience in enterprise development in developing countries. Our approach focuses on creating an enabling environment for enterprise development, formalization of enterprises, as the SG for UNCTAD recognized earlier, promoting inclusive business practices, including for women and youth and vulnerable populations such as refugees, supporting the social and solidarity economy, enhancing SME productivity, and sustainable enterprise development and just transitions. ILO's tripartite structure ensures that our technical assistance is grounded in the experience of businesses and workers. The ILO approach to enterprise development is through the lens of decent work. We bring to the discussion of enterprise development the role of environmental, social, and governance considerations, with an emphasis on social. Robust ESG practices are now becoming a critical competitive advantage for individual enterprises, sectors, and countries as favorable locations for doing business. ESG is not only about managing risk, but also about companies striving to maximize positive impact, including those greater linkages between FDI and local enterprises that many of the previous speakers have referred to. The ILO Tripartite Declaration of Principles Concerning Multinational Enterprises and Social Policy, or the M&E Declaration, offers valuable guidance for both governments and enterprises on harnessing the positive impact of FDI and addressing potential operational challenges. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, ILO stands ready to work in partnership with everybody in this room and of course with our UN partners to integrate ESG considerations into your enterprise development strategies to fully benefit from the opportunities that investment and trade can bring for inclusive economic growth, and obviously in doing so, advancing the SDG agenda and doing so in line with national development priorities. I thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for having delivered that in just over 2 minutes. Thank you very much. I now have the honor to give the floor to the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, the Managing Director of the Directorate of SDG Innovation and Economic Transform, Mr. Beggar. The first name is difficult, sir. Mr. Beggar.
It's Gunter. It's
Gunter.
very easy.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and dear Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan, Excellencies, distinguished guests. Let me first convey greetings and best wishes of UNIDO's Director General, Mr. Gerd Müller, for whom I stand in today at this excellent organized World Investment Forum. And I would like also to thank UNCTAD for organizing this Enterprise Ministerial Roundtable and the possibility to be part of this very interesting and honorable round. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only 1 month ago the United Nations General Assembly organized its SDG Summit to take stock if a halfway point to the 2030 SDG agenda had been reached. The world leaders adopted a political declaration to accelerate action to achieve the 70 goals, where only 15% of targets can be considered to be on track. This is an alarming signal to the international community, including UNIDO. In this new call for immediate action, the mobilization of investment remains imperative for SDG implementation, and there is no surprise, the SDG 2023 Progress Report calls upon international organizations, governments, development financial institutions, and private sector partners to deliver on the Addis Ababa Action Agenda and to mobilize resources and investment needed for developing countries. One key to change the trends back into the right direction is to redirect the focus even more than before on the challenges and financial requirements of industrial entrepreneurs operating in a wide range of manufacturing sectors, from textile to clothing to food processing, electronics and machinery, or in emerging industries that operate on the interface between services and manufacturing. These entrepreneurs, we heard it today, have diverse investment requirements and are in dire need to find the right financial partners to propel their investment plans, leading to structural change and ushering in transitions of decarbonization, resource-efficient production, and better adoption of and in compliance with the ESG standards. On the supply side, there are promising trends, for instance, from the impact investor community that in the year 2022 exceeded the volume of $1 trillion of assets under management and with forecasted future rapid growth. But, dear colleagues, a lot of investment deals are not realized because investors lack information and knowledge about promising and bankable investment projects in our partner countries. And let me be clear, we think that is an unacceptable situation, and I strongly believe that such blatant information asymmetries should not longer exist in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution, which is a digital one. At UNIDO, we have various successful examples where we are reaping the benefits of collaborative platforms for building investment pipelines. One such example is the Digital Invest in ACB platform, which acts as a one-stop shop supporting investors in directing new investment flows into African, Caribbean, and Pacific economies. It offers detailed information on over 900 investment opportunities in a variety of value chains, provides site-level information on industrial parks, and lists contact details of investment promotion institutions ready to facilitate these investments. As skills development and investment readiness are often two sides of the same coin, UNIDO promotes industrial skills development for use in emerging economies through the Learning and Knowledge Development Facility platform, including establishment and upgrading of local industrial training academies. And UNIDO's Global Climate Innovative Program nurtures early-stage SMEs developing clean tech technologies through a comprehensive end-to-end solution of progressive business acceleration service. Ladies and gentlemen, these are only 2 or 3 examples of our work. UNIDO has clearly heard the call of the United Nations General Assembly of last month and is committed to bring its expertise, instruments, network, and partnerships to boost SDG 9 implementation as well as interconnected SDGs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your remarks, Mr. Gunter Beggar. Thank you very much for assisting me to pronounce that name. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our last speaker. Thank you all very much for your interventions. I'm now privileged to read the summary which was prepared by the Secretariat. And as stated at the beginning, you will receive this document for your comments before I produce the final chair's summary of our deliberations. But before I read it out, perhaps I could seize upon this moment to add a word or two about Botswana. We too find entrepreneurship as an objective which stands out to be one to be prioritized. We have consequently, under the ministry which I'm presently heading, which used to be called Investment, Trade and Industry, has been split in half to create one which is dedicated purely to entrepreneurship. Because that's how important our state president, His Excellency Dr. Mokgweetsi Eric Abetsi Masisi, considered entrepreneurship and its development to be in order to assist us to grow. We have dedicated funds to assist small startups. We do have a dedicated fund under what is called Citizen Entrepreneurial Development Agency, which is dedicated to setting up enterprises, especially startups, and also to support those which have already been established. State-funded totally. So that's how important it is to us to embark on the assistance or the setting up of enterprises. It is our belief that especially small, micro, and medium enterprises are the ones by which employment is to be created. Yes, we have giants, we have large corporations, but as we all know, those don't create much employment because much of the work which goes into it or the method by which they produce is not one which is employment skewed in favor of employment. It's mechanized, so the small and micro enterprises are the ones which create the most jobs for our people. So I thought I should just add those few remarks about our country, Botswana. I now proceed to read out the chair's summary. The Enterprise Ministerial Roundtable of the World Investment Forum 2023 benefited from the participation of 14 ministers and heads of international organizations and high-level representatives of international organizations, including the United Nations Women, UNIDO, United Nations International Labour Organization, I beg your pardon, and the Commonwealth. The ministers have debated the importance of entrepreneurship for sustainable development and how micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and the private sector can play a role in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The UNCTAD Secretary General, Ms. Rebecca Greenspan, set the scene by observing that micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises play a key role in economies, communities, and livelihoods around the world, while being also the most vulnerable in times of crisis. The Secretary General has highlighted that entrepreneurs and micro, small, and medium enterprises can be an important tool in introducing new technologies, in bringing social innovations, and in delivering on the SDGs at the grassroots level. The Secretary General recalled UNCTAD's work in providing member states with policy guides on entrepreneurship, such as the one for migrants and refugees, in collaboration with IOM and UNHCR, or the one for youth, developed in collaboration with the Commonwealth, as well as UNCTAD's capacity building programs to support entrepreneurs such as EMRATEC and Women in Business Awards. Ministers and heads of international organizations shared the specific challenges their countries are facing, their enterprises or enterprise development priorities and policy solutions they are spearheading to support private sector development. Ministers have identified several challenges, and these are such challenges: underdevelopment or underdeveloped entrepreneurial ecosystems, difficult business environments, access to finance, particularly micro, small, and medium enterprises. Ministers have pointed as some key priorities for enterprise development in their countries: the formalization of micro-enterprises, investment in key sectors to support countries' energy transition and the reduction or elimination of carbon emissions, strengthening linkages between foreign investors and local economies to facilitate and promote the integration into global value chains, and maximizing the contribution that entrepreneurship can make for youth, women, and vulnerable groups, promoting the creation of jobs, particularly decent and high-quality jobs, social entrepreneurship and business or businesses with social impact, sustainable business practices. Ministers shared some of their country's policy priorities and solutions. And to name them: energy transition, driving economies entirely with renewable energy by 2050. Harnessing technology, specifically green technology for sustainable business models and ICT digitalization. Providing an enabling business environment, streamlining administrative procedures, including through one-stop shops. Active promotion of startups and micro, small, and medium enterprises through business development centers. Support measures including fiscal facilitation for SMEs in key sectors. Examples that were mentioned included smart farming, digital economy, creative sectors, and green transition sectors. Education and vocational programs developing entrepreneurship and strengthening science, technology, and innovation skills. Using entrepreneurship for rural development policies and reducing in-country inequality. Several ministers mentioned private sector participation in policy dialogue initiatives as a key ingredient for effective measure and initiative that target challenges and bottlenecks faced by micro, small, and medium enterprises and national priorities. Ministers highlighted the importance of ongoing partnership with UNCTAD, particularly through the business facilitation and EMRATEC programs, as well as with the entrepreneurship policy framework, which some of the countries have already benefited from. They also emphasized entrepreneurship as a driving force behind sustainable development. Finally, ministers and heads of organizations have expressed the desire to continue dialogue. They considered the World Investment Forum an important platform for this purpose. The proceedings of this meeting will be used for UNCTAD conferences such as the Trade and Development Board, negotiations in the General Assembly on an entrepreneurship resolution, and future conferences, including the 60th anniversary of UNCTAD next year. I thank you for your attention and cooperation. But before closing, please allow me to express our gratitude to our host, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, and the government of the United Arab Emirates. This concludes the Enterprise Ministerial Roundtable of the 8th World Investment Forum held in 2023 in the United Arab Emirates. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, excellencies, it was an absolute marvel to have served you in this capacity. I thank you profoundly, each of you from the bottom of my heart, for your audience. Thank you.